District reconfiguration, Mr. Henshaw will give us a report on the progress of the construction plans for the high school.
Just a quick update on the addition. A few of these slides you've seen before, and we've got a few changes plus some additions, but we'll just run through them fairly quickly. Just as a site plan, the new addition will be on the west side of the existing building. We will take down the current annex with this plan, and so with that, we need to be able to replace the areas that we're taking away. So the two areas that are mainly affected, food service, we'll talk about that later in this presentation. The dry storage and freezer area there, we need to relocate that. And then obviously the wrestling practice area is in that building, so we'll relocate that as part of this plan as well. So just those two things. There's a couple of new diagrams after the board meeting 2 weeks ago. We've had several minor changes. We began to tweak this, you know, as after we showed you the footprint, then we start working through all the pieces. Mark was here last time and talked to you about taking slices of the building and looking at elevations and seeing what would and wouldn't work. And one of the things we did find with some discovery, we had talked about a lecture room up where 9 and 10 classrooms are now. We've changed that back to the idea of two separate classrooms because of some structural issues that we wouldn't be able to tier that space. So we've relocated that in this drawing. You can see it just above rooms 5 and 7. Could be possibly a place. We also, after some checking on codes for the wrestling practice area, that room over there, we did find that we could build closer to our property line, and so we were able to turn that room, which allows us not to go into the hillside quite as deep, and a lot of things work better. Prior to the last meeting, we weren't sure if we could do that, so just little things like that. Our next meetings next week will involve looking at each classroom and how it's designed, as well as the administrative area. This is a second idea. It shifts the office and storage to the other side of the wrestling area. And I sent both of these plans today to the athletic director and the head wrestling coach to get some feedback. There's some pros and cons to the difference in those two spaces just by moving those areas. And there's pros and cons about either one of those, so I want to hear from those people that are using it every day what they would prefer. The lecture room on this one, you can see, is in the space that was classroom 7, so we turn it a different direction. So in this configuration, you'd have a wider classroom as opposed to this one is a longer. So we're working through each one of these. We talk on the phone every day. We email back and forth every day with different ideas.
What if you move, I don't really want to design the building, but what if you move that down to where 4 and 6 are, and it seems like it would be really easy to access, and you could use it as a community room and keep it right there on the glass wall and right there by the front door. It seems like that might be an interesting
4 and 6, we ran through some of those scenarios too, Keith, and won't get into all the details. We're working with different elevations there, as well as, if you notice, we're using a little square footage in this drawing. There's a janitor closet and a storage room. To be quite honest, we've determined that we really don't need to use that square footage for that, so a diagram like this is close to the front door. It still kind of gets that idea. And plus, it has some advantages. It won't have as many tiered levels in it, so we can do more group work. This room, for example, it's pretty difficult to do group work in a space like this because when these people turn around, they're looking up to the, so there's some things. We're going to go visit a lecture room over at S&T when Mark's down next week. We haven't set that exact time up yet, but Jim has invited us over there to check out a room over there that kind of has this same concept, and we'll take one of the administrators from the high school to do that. So none of this is locked into place. Obviously, just for example, the administration area, we need to, next week we'll sit down and really decipher that. So all this is still being worked through. We feel pretty good that we're moving right along schedule. But just some different ideas to share with you. Now this is just a 3D drawing. This is actually was done 3 days ago. So the wrestling room hadn't turned. So you can see it kind of sticking out to the left there. So it won't, if we go with the other concept, it won't push out quite that far. But this is looking from the southwest corner, kind of the intersection of Cedar and 7th, if you were looking at the building from there. That'd be down from the southeast view up toward it in the student parking lot. And this would be from the northwest corner of kind of First Baptist Church looking down from Cedar. Practice gym's over there to your left, the taller section. Probably won't be able to save windows on that second floor of that wing, but we are addressing that with fresh air ventilation and those type things, so those ideas are in the plan. So we did address some of your questions. We looked at designs that added windows to classrooms by raising the roof in that section. It does add cost. This design right here has got 2 skylights in kind of set into the intersections of a small lobby area, an intersection there by the practice gym, with the idea that the classrooms that are the interior classrooms, we're going to look at high bay windows to allow some light in from the hallway, those type ideas. One of the problems that we discussed with putting a lot of windows up high is that then you have to invest not only in that structure, but then you also need to invest in things like electric window blinds that shut if somebody's going to be using a smart board or whatever. So there's pros and cons to having windows, not having windows, all those type of things. So we're really trying to work through that. Mark has, they've been great architects for us. They're very open when I call to look at different ideas, and obviously then they have a wealth of experience to go back on from the schools they've built, not just for us, but all their projects they've done. So I think we've got a great system going, and I keep bouncing things off of Jim and Amy and Kathy and Josh Smith, and when we get into the classroom design, we'll talk to department people and all those things. So we're going to take in a lot of information.
So Kelly, did you say we would lose those windows that are shown there?
The windows that are shown there, that's actually the 3rd floor.
Okay.
So those would stay, but
Okay.
That wing to your right, that existing wing is actually 1 floor underground. What we call the 2nd floor
Yes.
was where the principal's office is, so
Okay.
we'd lose those. We were hoping to maybe,
That's an accurate drawing.
we were hoping to, yes, it is, this is correct in that respect, Jamie. 3rd floor would still have windows. We were hoping to maybe hang on
Part
to
of,
Yeah.
high windows on the 2nd floor or something, but it's not going to work, probably, with the elevations. Again, this is an early 3D drawing.
Right.
We still have to address parking, brick, all the exterior look and all that type of stuff, but this just gives you an idea.
I like the elevation, though.
And it's similar to the junior high, the feel of an entrance, those type things. So I think it's a good thing. Relocating the food service, I just wanted to address that just a little bit more. Next board meeting, I'll have a recommendation as far as an actual budget number to renovate this building. I had mentioned to you that we were going to repurpose a storage building. This is the actual building, took a photo from the outside. Our RTI masonry class is already removed. We had some failing brick on the front structure. That's already been taken off this week by our class. And so the things that obviously we have to address are over here to the left. I'm not going to read those to you, but it is currently a concrete structure, concrete block structured building, but it was just for storage. So I'll have a price for you. We've put together some numbers, and it looks like it'll probably run about $20,000 to renovate. But on the other hand, if we were putting this onto the high school, 1,750 square feet at $150 is about $250,000 space. So we've identified some space we can use. I think it's a good use of space that the district has and a good use of taxpayer money. Timeline, again, we're looking at hoping to start construction in May of 16 and with completion in July and moving into the facility in July and opening August of 17. Be happy to answer any questions.
Good.
We've come 180 degrees. The front of the high school used to be on 10th Street way back when.
We just keep moving, we're circling. We're circling.
It'll make it back around here.
When we buy 10th Street and just close it down like it used to be,
Don't
when
say
nobody
that.
could drive over the road. No, I'm kidding.
It was just 2 lane,
Yeah.